Look around you. At work. At the gym. At bars. See those men? The ones with dead eyes, slouched shoulders, checking their phones for validation while their lives slip away? That's not just bad luck. That's programming. A carefully designed system that has turned them into voluntary slaves who believe they're free. And you're next on the list. Today I'm going to show you the invisible prison cell they've built around your mind. The psychological traps that guarantee most men will live and die without ever experiencing true freedom or power. This isn't conspiracy. This is calculated social engineering. Think about it. Society needs workers, consumers, men who follow rules, pay taxes, and never question too deeply. What it doesn't need is free-thinking, ambitious, self-reliant men who create their own systems. From the moment you were born, you've been systematically programmed through education, entertainment, and social pressure to behave in ways that benefit everyone except yourself. The 97% are men who have accepted this programming without question, who follow the predetermined path: school, debt, job, marriage, mortgage, kids, retirement, death. Living someone else's dream while their own dreams die quietly. The 3%? Those are the men who recognize the program and chose to rewrite their own code. Which one are you? Because understanding this choice is the difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of authentic power. Let's examine the programming that holds men captive. First, the validation trap. From childhood, you were taught that your worth comes from external approval. Good grades, compliments, likes, followers, a pat on the head from authority figures. This creates men who can't trust their own judgment, who need constant confirmation they're doing the right thing. Men who live in fear of disapproval. I worked with a client, successful by most standards. Six-figure job, decent physique, presentable. But he couldn't make a single decision without consulting others. What car to buy? What woman to date? What job to take? He was successful in everyone's eyes except his own, because deep down, he knew he was living by committee, a walking composite of other people's expectations. Second, programming. The comfort addiction. You've been conditioned to avoid pain at all costs, to seek the path of least resistance, to value comfort over growth. The average man will reorganize his entire life to avoid 5 minutes of necessary discomfort. He'll stay in dead relationships, tolerate disrespect, and abandon his dreams, all to avoid the temporary pain of confrontation, rejection, or failure. This is by design. Comfortable men don't revolt. They don't disrupt. They don't create change. They eat their processed food, watch their scripted shows, and drift quietly toward the grave. Third, and most insidious, the time illusion. You've been programmed to believe you have time, that you can start tomorrow, next week, next year, after you get the promotion, after you save more money, after the kids are older. This is the ultimate control mechanism, because tomorrow never comes. And the man who postpones his authentic life will wake up at 80 wondering where his existence went. I watched my own father fall for this trap. After retirement, he'd say, after retirement, I'll travel. All right, I'll live. He died 6 months before his retirement date. His dreams unrealized. His potential untapped. His true self never expressed. Now let's examine the psychological weapons used to enforce this programming. Weapon 1. Manufacture inadequacy. A $4.5 trillion global advertising industry exists to create problems you didn't know you had, to highlight insecurities you never would have discovered on your own. Too small, too big, too poor, too unstylish, not enough status, not enough toys. The 97% spend their lives chasing solutions to problems that were invented specifically to control them. Weapon 2. The outrage cycle. Notice how the news, social media, even your workplace keeps you in a constant state of low-grade anger or anxiety. This is an accident. This is strategy. A man focused on outrage has no mental bandwidth for deep thought or strategic action. He becomes reactive rather than proactive. His energy dispersed in 1,000 directions rather than concentrated on his true purpose. Ever wonder why you feel exhausted after scrolling social media? That's your life force being deliberately drained away. Weapon 3. False rivalry. You've been programmed to see other men as competition rather than allies, to fight over scraps instead of questioning why you're fighting at all. Left versus right. Race versus race. Worker versus worker. While you're busy battling the man next to you, you never look up to see who's truly benefiting from your conflict. This creates isolated men, disconnected men, men without tribes or genuine brotherhood, men who are easily controlled because they stand alone. I witnessed this in corporate America for a decade. Men sabotaging each other for microscopic advantages, fighting viciously over who gets the slightly larger cubicle, the marginally better title, all while the real wealth flowed upward, far beyond their reach. So how do you break this programming? How do you join the 3% who live on their own terms? First principle, radical self-awareness. You can't escape a prison you don't know exists. Start questioning everything. Your beliefs, your habits, your reactions. Ask yourself, is this thought truly mine? Or was it installed in me? Is this desire authentic? Or was it programmed? When you feel strong emotion, especially outrage, inadequacy, or the compulsive need for validation, pause. That's the programming running. Observe it without acting on it. A practical exercise. For 1 week, before making any decision, ask, am I doing this for external validation or internal alignment? The answers will disturb you. Second principle, strategic discomfort. The 3% understand that growth happens at the edge of pain, not the center of comfort. Deliberately seek situations that challenge you, that make your heart race, that force you to develop new capacities. Cold showers, public speaking, difficult conversations, physical challenges. The specific discomfort doesn't matter. What matters is training your mind to move toward necessary pain rather than away from it. One client completely transformed his life with a simple rule. Do one thing each day that makes you uncomfortable. Within 6 months, he was unrecognizable in body, mind, and circumstance. Third principle, outcome independence. Your programming says your worth depends on results, on winning, on being chosen. This makes you desperate, which makes you weak. The 3% focus on process, principles, and personal standards regardless of external outcomes. This isn't about not caring. It's about caring so deeply about your own integrity that external validation becomes secondary. Fourth principle, selective brotherhood. The programmed man isolates or mingles with weak men who reinforce his limitations. The deprogrammed man carefully cultivates relationships with a few who challenge him, support his growth, and share his fundamental values. Find these men. They are rare but essential. One true brother is worth more than 1,000 casual acquaintances. The 97% give their attention to whatever shouts loudest. Social media, breaking news, workplace drama. The 3% guard their attention like the treasure it is. They decide where their focus goes rather than outsourcing that decision.